Good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you are in the world. My name is Martin Redmayne, the Super Yacht Group Chairman, here on my latest one-to-one. Joined today by Patrick Coote. Patrick is the Chief Marketing Officer at Northrop Johnson, part of the, what is the organization, Patrick, now? It's
MarineMax Group.
MarineMax Group, yes, sorry, the world's largest player in the market. Patrick, how are you today?
Very good, thank you. Very good. Good to see you, as always.
And you. Let's hope soon we can get together in Monaco and have a proper chat. So the format is very simple, Patrick. What we try to do here is have a very candid conversation with a whole raft of very interesting people with knowledge, with expertise, or with a good idea for the future. Because it's all about the next step of our market, next generation, and what's over the horizon. I always start with a simple question. Simple question is, what frustrates you about our industry, Patrick?
Cool. You could have prepped me and given me a little warning. What frustrates me
What's
about
the point of that?
I think what frustrates me also delights me. What frustrates me is that a lot of the people and a lot of the companies are stuck in the past, stuck in traditional ways of doing things, traditional ways of marketing, traditional ways of selling, which gives those who are a bit more forward thinking a prime opportunity to stand out without too much difficulty.
Beautiful.
How about that?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think there's a hell of a lot of repetition and sort of, let's say, we don't tend to learn from our past experiences too much. So I think there's a bit of a problem there. I've called this session, Patrick, Death of a Salesman.
Yes. Ominous title you've chosen.
Not at all. I was trying to ask the question related to the process of selling yachts. We've had a very exciting 12 months in the pandemic from a sales perspective. Interesting, that's without boat shows, with probably a very different strategy. Can you almost give a bit of a snapshot as to what you think has been the real driver of this activity?
The drive of the interest in sales over recent months.
Yeah.
I think it's a multitude of factors. In no particular order, I think yacht marketing has been given a massive kick up the backside and launched forward about 10 years during 1 year.
Yeah.
So we've all had to embrace far quicker than anyone had ever anticipated new technology, online marketing, digital marketing, at the expense of the traditional channels, at the expense of print, at the expense of events, at the expense of shows. And we've all found that it's fantastic. And it produces an amazing return on investment. It's less expensive. It's easier to track. It's been a steep learning curve for us all, but it's been fantastic. And as I say, it's kicked us on a good sort of 5-10 years in the process. The fact that everyone else is sitting at home, staring at their screens and twiddling their thumbs and going about their business, rather than traveling, has simply been another positive contributor, because they're all online, all looking at the materials that we're all putting out and generating, all the content that we're coming up with. I think those factors combined with the very real fact that I think there's a realization that life is short, life is fragile, life is uncertain, and given that we don't know what's around the corner, and we've all just been punched in the face by this pandemic, if not now, when? Yeah. You know, if you've thought about buying a boat, if you've thought about chartering a boat, well, no time like the present. I think there's a lot of sort of carpe diem thinking going on. There's other speculation about, people want to spend more time with the family. People see it as a safe way of sort of isolating themselves, and perhaps, yes, in a small way. But I think people are just thinking, let's just get on and do it. Let's have some fun. That's what yachting's all about, no?
Yeah. I think one of the things I want to just sort of ask the question on, because that to me is a very interesting trigger. This pandemic has triggered this sort of appreciation of escape or privacy, etc. So that's been a real driver. What will be interesting, Patrick, in let's say 2 years' time, is that all these people have bought these boats and thought, yeah, great, wonderful lifestyle, let's go and do it. Is there any risk that people will say, actually, this is not for me? Do we have an obligation to make sure that all these people who are coming into the market quite dynamically and aggressively because they've just woken up to this life's too short nature, but if we don't do a really good job and have the right people, we could see a mass migration?
Well, I think you touched on something very interesting, which is that our responsibility as yacht brokers is to make sure that our clients make good decisions. That's really why we exist. We're professional advisors. So yes, absolutely. If a lot of clients in large quantities are buying the wrong boat, then absolutely that's an issue. Our job is to make sure that yachting is fun, yachting is hassle-free, take away all the headaches, to gently direct people in the right direction towards the right size of boat, the right type of boat, the right style of boat. I mean, that's why we're here. So yes, if there are a lot of people with the wrong boat not having much fun and not being well looked after in the years to come, yes, that's a problem. Hopefully they won't be Northrop Johnson clients.
Okay, so let's talk about the word salesman, all right? And it's a word I've always sort of looked at in the whole yachting market, is the word broker appropriate? And is the word salesman appropriate in today's landscape? Should there be a much more of a sophisticated title?
I sort of see where you're going with the question, and I don't mean to sound flippant, but I don't really care what the title is. There are yacht brokers out there with the title salesman. There are yacht brokers with the title client advisor. There are yacht brokers out there with sort of client representative, professional advisor. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you call yourself. The point is that you're at the board. The way I view it is you're at the board table of the client. You know, our clients are successful people, often with very successful businesses. They surround themselves in their day-to-day lives with the best lawyers, the best accountants, the best tax advice, the best HR people, the best, you know, in every area of their business. They want the best possible people at their board table, and their yacht broker should be good enough to earn a place at that top table. They should be as highly regarded, respected, and thought of as everyone else at that client's top table. Whether you call them a broker, a salesman, or whatever you want to call them, it's irrelevant. They just need to be damn good at what they do and know their stuff.
Okay, so that
advise the client in the right way.
That leads me to the second part of this question: is how does a client select the right person with all the right experience or professionalism, etc.? Because that's always been one of the concerns, is that you've got a predatory mindset of hunting for a deal. But I don't see how a client, there's been a lot of conversations about this, how does someone choose their advisor?
A client selecting who provides them with a professional service should go about it in the same way that they would perform their due diligence when looking for any professional advice, whether it be financial, legal, or anything else. You know, what sways any of us towards one service provider as opposed to another service provider? It's a multitude of factors. It's every time that client has come into a touch point with the brand over their lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes, it might be word of mouth or a recommendation from a friend. It might be at a boat show. It might have been through a magazine advert. It might have been through something online. It can be a whole series of things. But ultimately, that client will form a perception of the brand prior to reaching out to someone in that company. It's our job as marketeers, sales and marketing people within brokerage firms, to ensure that we are very clear about what our brand proposition is, what we stand for, what the client will find when they come to us, and to deliver on that promise.
Yeah, yeah. So if there was something you could change about the sales and marketing or brokerage industry, what would it be?
Well, to go back to your earlier point, I think the notion that the super yacht world is full of, excuse the cliche, used car salesmen is quite frankly wrong and unhelpful.
Yeah.
You know, it takes, I don't know, 7-8 years to become an oncologist. It takes 7-8 years to become a good yacht broker. And the depth of knowledge, the experience, the understanding, you know, in some sense, the qualifications are very similar. And I think the sooner that we start realizing that we need seriously good people in the market, and there are seriously good people out there, the better. It's very much a sort of throwaway comment that, you know, well, these brokers, they do nothing, then they take 10%. But people only say that when they have no real understanding of what is involved in the marketing and sale of a yacht.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic, Patrick, in terms of, do people understand the effort required and the investment made? Is that something of a problem in the market, that the stigma of the broker and his percentage is a misunderstood fact?
I think it's a grossly misunderstood fact. You know, there are always people in life who will sort of like to stick the knife in and have a go. And somehow brokers have ended up as one of those groups, unfairly, I think, compared to used car salesmen, compared to estate agents, where there have been unscrupulous players in the past in all areas of the world. I think it's a grossly unfair comparison to tar all yacht brokers with that sort of brush.
Yeah.
Because the work involved, the knowledge required is significant. And if you are preparing for 8 years plus to be good at what you do, to properly advise a client in a very specialist field with a very broad knowledge base and a lot of specialist knowledge in the mix, if you are taking months, if not years, to nurture that lead and find the right boat for the client, and gradually go through all the technical and financial and legal aspects of handling a sale for that client,
yeah,
you're closing a handful of deals per year. Yes, I think it's absolutely right. You should be rightfully remunerated for that work.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's something that the market needs to sort of have more clarity on, and something that I think progressive brokerage houses should be focusing on is how to present the work or the effort or the personality behind the reference broker. Because maybe salesman is the wrong word, this word salesman, because they don't just sell. They are some of the biggest brains of our industry.
Yeah, I think the very term salesman is a bit of a misnomer in our world. I can understand a salesman in a shipyard or selling at a dealership, but you know, professional advisor is a far more appropriate term for someone operating at the higher levels of super yacht brokerage.
Yeah.
And let's face it, you know, I have a marketing background, and if you cut me open, I've got sort of marketing running through my veins. I believe that marketing is everything. And I think if we're all doing a good enough job as either product sellers or service sellers, if we're doing a good enough marketing job, then there is no selling to do. If you walk into an Apple store, there is no selling to do in a traditional selling sense by the guy that you meet in the store, because the marketing team has done such an amazing job,
yes,
creating a very, very strong perception of the brand before the client walks through the door, that there is really, it's a closing job, it's not a selling job.
Yeah, and you go to that store to get advice.
Yes, yeah, but you're going in there for one reason. And it's not even that they have the best product. I mean, the best, I think many people would agree, to continue the analogy, that the best product on the market is probably a Samsung, far more than an Apple in terms of its capabilities. But there's such an amazing marketing job done by the team that there's no sales job to be done. Clients are walking through the door wanting to buy that particular iPad or that particular iPhone. So, sorry, I'm going off a bit of a tangent, but I think if we do our job as marketeers in the super world, the selling job becomes much more of a closing role and a sort of handling the paperwork role, which is still a very big role.
Yeah. It's like a contract lawyer, sort of having to deal with all that paperwork and that the due diligence almost, the whole process. I think what's interesting now, Patrick, I'm really keen to explore the last 12 months of activity in the sales and marketing and sales and purchase market. Any idea or any data in your team as to how many are first-time buyers?
We do record that. I don't have that in front of me. I'm dealing with a few first-time buyers myself at the moment, actually. But yes, people are certainly stepping. I don't have the statistics, but people are stepping into the market for the first time, are stepping in at a fairly significant level. People I'm dealing with are currently have bought a 35 meter and immediately want to step up to a 50 meter. So yeah, there are definitely first-time buyers coming to the market. Yes, the exact numbers I don't know.
No, sure. Because I was looking at the Forbes billionaire list the other day. I look at the wealth report from Knight Frank, and the numbers are still looking very exciting in terms of volume of wealth growth, and numbers of high net worth individuals. So we're still only scratching the surface of potential.
You've sort of beat the drum over many years about we should all be doing more as an industry. We should be reaching out. We're only scratching the surface in terms of the potential number of wealthy people that could buy yachts. And I don't disagree. I don't at all. I think we have to accept that some people love buying art, some people love buying racehorses, and some people like collecting classic cars, whatever it might be. We can't get everyone to love yachting the way we do. But certainly we are doing a lot of fishing, a bit of a horrible phrase. We're doing a lot of fishing outside of the typical pond. We as a company at Northrop are really reaching out into, beyond our existing client base and current prospects database, and having a lot of success, I have to say, particularly in the charter world. The return on investment when you reach out online in the exceptionally targeted way that you can do online, and then you track the results as you can do, we're having phenomenal success with first-time charterers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And having, doing very well on conversion of initial interest to actual bookings.
Yeah. So let's talk about the future of the salesman from a boat show perspective, because when you look at boat shows, and there have been very few of them this year for obvious reasons, Palm Beach happened recently. Do you think the brokers expect the boat show to come back with the same amount of energy?
No.
Okay.
No. You know that I have a slightly biased view on this because I helped the leading Yacht Brokers Association to set up the Barcelona show due to them being disillusioned with some other events. So I might be coming at this from a slightly biased angle, but I think and I don't speak on behalf of anyone here other than Northrop and Johnson, I think the collective view amongst the large yacht brokerage companies is that they are very disillusioned with the sort of traditional boat show format, with the way they're put together, with the way they're managed, with the way they're priced, with a number of real clients who are attending, and ultimately the return on investment or lack of.
Yeah.
There's definitely a need for clients to walk on boats. It's very rare to buy a house or a car or any sort of very high value item without seeing it and falling in love with it. That said, we have been selling boats in the last 12 months just from video tours, but that's still the exception rather than the rule. There is a requirement for a forum where clients can get on boats. Is that a single boat open day like we have today in Monaco with a Mangusta? Is it a sort of multi-boat open day where a dozen boats come together from different brokerage houses and there's nothing more than the cost of the berth to get it set up? Or do we need all the fanfare and glitz and glamour and cost and travel expenses and hustle and bustle of a big boat show? I think we all love big boat shows to the extent that they're fun, and we see our friends and we see other people in the industry, and it's kind of exciting, and there are lots of parties going on. But is it really the best? Is it the optimum scenario in which to bring a qualified client to view a multi-million-dollar purchase? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what do you expect to happen?
I expect there to be, again, my personal view would be that there will be a growing interest in smaller, more private viewings. Yeah. Or there will need to be a fundamental shift in the format and the pricing model of large boat shows. Okay. And I'm really, again, I should stress, I'm talking about the really large boat market. Yeah. I think if you're buying, our parent company, MarineMax, have huge success at something like the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, where people want to come and they want to see 5-10 different boats, and they can spend $100,000 or $200,000 on a 30-footer or a 40-footer.
Yeah,
I kind of get that. It's an exciting day out, but I'm just not sure that's quite the right model long term for the, let's say, 20 to 30 meter plus market.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Okay, in terms of Northrop's last 6 months, what else are you planning for the future that's going to be a bit game changery or innovative?
Where do I start?
I'm intrigued because you've always been quite a progressive thinker in this whole marketing mix, and we talked at the beginning about how, let's say, backwards sometimes the marketing was, or there was a sort of predictability about some of the marketing in the past, and I feel there's a lot of money that has been wasted. So I'm intrigued as to what you think the next phase of our marketing mix would look like.
I would say 10 or 15 years ago, a marketing budget for a large brokerage company probably looked about 80% traditional, 80 to 90% traditional, by which I mean events, print, advertising, brochures, etc. And then, back in sort of mid 2000s, we were throwing a bit of money at the website and a bit of money at some search engine optimization and maybe a small little toe in the water with digital advertising. I think 15 years on, it's completely flipped the other way.
Yeah.
And a company should be looking at having 80 to 90% of their budget now online with new digital technology. So that's a fundamental shift, and one which we certainly at Northrop Johnson are embracing wholeheartedly. I've been with the company a year now, and I've been out of the brokerage world for a couple of years, and it's been an eye-opener. We are becoming a technology company that happens to be in the yacht world, with all of the specialist knowledge that comes with the yachting side. But my goodness, we have boosted the technology team within Northrop sort of tenfold in the last 12 months. And I only see that continuing. And it's simple mathematics. You can see the way the world is going. You can see where brands are having the most success communicating with their target audiences. You can see the return on investment very clearly, and it's very trackable from online marketing. And I can put $100 into a Facebook campaign, and I can see exactly who responded, how quickly, what happened with that lead, who it went to, how it was handled, what results came back from it, what the return on investment was from a marketing perspective. Or I can put 100,000 into a boat show stand and watch crowds wandering up and down, and then come away and wonder what the return was. And of course, I accept, we need a diverse range of activities in our marketing mix. And it's not that any one thing is the silver bullet or the, I don't know the right phrase is golden apple. It's not the, it's about having a broad marketing mix, but really now I see 80 to 90% of that mix being in online activity.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, back to the topic of death of a salesman. Where's the next generation of brokers coming from? Because obviously, with a fairly large percentage of people at the top of the pile, we're not going to die yet, but certainly are fairly in their latter sort of twilight years of brokerage. How is Northrop approaching that sort of next gen sales force approach?
I'm not concerned that there's going to be a lack of good people. We can see great people coming through the ranks. We have a sort of, it's not quite as formal as an apprentice scheme, but certainly we put a junior trainee broker with a very senior experienced broker for a number of years before they would be sort of let loose to handle things on their own. Because there's a lot to learn. We have plenty of young people within the organization, and there are plenty of great people out there, whether they're from a crew background or a non-yachting background. I'm receiving CVs on almost a daily basis of people that would like to come into our industry, and they're seemingly great people. We can't take them all and train them all, but I'm very happy that we have a good number of younger brokers coming up through the ranks, ready to gradually take over the reins from those who are a bit more grey-haired.
You're looking at me.
I didn't say a word.
All right. Let's take the final comment, final question, Patrick, is really, if you put a 5-year crystal ball in front of you, what are your expectations? The reason I ask this, Patrick, sorry, is I look at the current media landscape in terms of comments about wealth inequality, sustainability, all the various local geopolitical elements. Do you foresee any impact on yachting from those perspectives?
Yes, I do. I think it's undeniable to see the growing interest in sustainability. I wondered, even as recently as 5 or 10 years ago, if that was, was it a sort of fad? Was it a thing? Was it? Because when I was in the shipyard world, I didn't have a lot of clients demanding greener technology, and I thought, well, is it really there? Is the demand there? Right now, oh my goodness, it is there. In every conversation I'm having with every, let's just say, slightly younger client, it's absolutely a factor. My goodness, conservation of the oceans are why you and I have a job.
Yeah.
We exist because going out to sea and being by the sea is fun, and people love it. and for that reason, we have to preserve it and protect it and conserve it and keep it. Otherwise, you and I don't have an industry anymore to work in. So the clients or the yacht owners and charterers, I think there's no doubt that they understand that the playground in which they like to have fun is only a playground in which to have fun so long as it is teeming with life and clean and not polluted. So the clients have an active interest and a very clear understanding that it's important to keep the oceans clean and for their yacht not to pollute the ocean at all, or in as limited a way as possible. So, a very sort of long-winded answer, but I think sustainability will be a major factor. I think people will be going further afield and quickly losing interest in the more common cruising grounds. These are themes you've heard 100 times in our industry.
Yeah.
But the son of the guy I was working with recently who bought a yacht, yeah, he'll like going to Saint-Tropez once or twice. He's not going to go and spray champagne like they used to 20 years ago, but he'll go have a party like the rest of us. But then he'll quickly lose interest and he'll want to go and see these amazing remote landscapes that aren't going to be around forever.
Yeah.
I think a growth in sort of expedition, explorer yachting is definitely going to be a trend that will continue.
Yeah. I mentioned wealth inequality as being a big topic post-pandemic, because obviously there's a lot of stories recently on what I call the broad media talking about the 1% have made so much money in the pandemic and the wealth inequality's got greater. Do you think because yachts were used as examples of their wealth, do you think that will become an issue? The stigma or the labeling of yachting as being a excessive toy?
Yes, people will always point the finger at expensive things and say that's an extravagance. I get that. Perhaps they're not even wrong. At the same time, a yacht can be a force for good in the world. And there is I think there's great leadership being shown by people such as Yacht Aid Global, such as the Yachts for Science program. I think the examples being set by Ocean X and Rev and even the newcomers like Arxon. I think this is an area that's going to grow and become more interesting. Certainly clients that I'm speaking to now about buying pretty decent boats with pretty considerable budgets, they're super excited about the idea of having scientists on board and research and being able to use the yacht for more sort of philanthropic endeavors.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a platform on which you just play loud music and party and go wild. It can be, what's more rewarding than we saw Dragonfly pumping fresh water to people after a hurricane. Well, what's more rewarding than literally saving lives? So I think we're going to see yachts being used in a much more philanthropic, a much more sort of giving back way in the future. And I think that's really exciting.
So the future of the market is still fairly strong?
I think so. I mean, you only have to look at the interest in sales from the last 12 months. If that's any indication of where we're going over the next sort of 5 years, we'll be very happy, and the market's very healthy. The market's strong for sales. The market's difficult for charter, and that's not due to any lack of interest. But selling charters right now is difficult because of travel restrictions and the like.
Yeah.
But there's strong interest to travel, strong interest to charter, strong interest to own yachts. So for now, the future is bright.
Okay. As a marketeer, to anyone who's watching this, what advice would you give to anyone about the next generation of marketing? Simple piece of advice.
I would say always understand who you're marketing to. Have the buying personas of who you're marketing to very clearly defined. Focus entirely on your target audience. Ensure everything you do is based on their needs, their wants, their preferences, their likes and dislikes. Look everywhere outside of our industry for new and innovative ways to get to market, or to new channels through which to market, and then just be awesome.
I like awesome.
Awesome or nothing. That's my motto.
Good stuff. All right, Patrick, listen, thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure. And we'll see each other very soon, I'm sure.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks a million. Take care.